Look, Neil, I've got to ask you straight off the bat. You've been asked this before, I'm sure, but you keep saying this is your last job. I remember, I think it was Crystal Palace, wasn't it, where you said, in fact, I dug it out, this is my last job. There won't be another job for me. Since then, where have you done? What have you done? QPR, Leeds, Palace again, QPR again, Rotherham, Cardiff, and now Boro. Why do you keep coming out of retirement?
It's strange, really, because the Palace one was because I wanted to finish at 55, I think it was. I wanted to finish at my old club, Sheffield United. I thought 7 years. But the way I finished there, I fell out with the chap, with Kevin McCabe, who took me to the club. And I didn't want to finish on that. So with all the Tevez thing that went off, Simon Jordan, who I'd known, I thought I got on really well in the end. We were at loggerheads to start with, and then we became good friends. He asked me to help him out, a similar situation, and I enjoyed it. And then the others just went from one to another. I enjoyed that part. Then they went into administration. The QPR thing come up, and that was just. I never thought about managing in London. I thought below Watford was the pits, and never in a million years will I ever manage down there. Crystal Palace and QPR were as good as I've ever had in my career. They were the fans, like the QPR. It's an old-fashioned grounds, weren't they? The Palace and fans right on top of you. I love that, mate. And they were just so good at times. Personally as well, Sharon loved it, and we had the kids there, and it was really good times. And I did pack in then, and then it was the Rotherham thing, and I'm sure you heard Justin about. I was sat at home. She was having chemotherapy. She had a double mastectomy, and she was having chemo this morning. Now I'd finished. I was done. I've been down the garden collecting the chicken eggs and all that. And she's talking to the nurse, and she says to the nurse, and I'm sat there I'm reading my paper, and she says, and he never washes a pot. And when he does, he splashes water everywhere. I've never seen him make a bed. I've never done this. He never does this. He never frumps the cushions. I said, hold on a minute, love. Tony Stewart's rung me this morning. Would I go to Rotherham? I've said no, because it's too far, but I'll go till the end of the season if you want. Get off, she says. And that's how I came out of retirement. So it was and I absolutely loved it. We were 6 points adrift, Justin, at Rotherham. We got the 7 out of the top 8 to play straight away.
Yeah.
And we survived the next to the last game. It was an absolute amazing. That was probably the biggest achievement ever.
Really?
And it was all down to Sharon, really. But that got my juices going again. I made average play. I'm sure they're not. I don't mean to be disrespectful to the squad. I made average players feel they were invincible.
Yes.
And we were all over the place and won at top places, and we stayed up. And he asked me to stay, but money-wise, I'm glad in a way. We just quibbled for a week, and in that week I thought, I'm doing it for the wrong reasons now. I don't want to do it for money. If I haven't got a chance of promotion, I don't really want to manage. So I had already spoke to a couple of clubs at that time, and then Mehmet Dalman, who rang me from Cardiff one morning and asked me if I'd go down to meet him. I was in Scotland at the time. And I flew down to meet him, and within 15 minutes, I just shook his hand and said, "Oh yeah, I'll be your manager." He said, "Well, we've not even talked money." I said, "No, you will know I'm just like you and all that." And he wouldn't have it. He said he went out and spoke to Vincent and come back, and he said, "Vincent wants you to sign something." I said, "What are you talking about? I've just shook your hand. I'm a Yorkshireman." We wanted to sign, so we got a serviette out of the table. We're in a gentleman's club, Justin. Having breakfast. We got a serviette, and I signed this serviette. Give it to
That was your contract.
I thought he was brilliant, Mehmet Dalman. I couldn't have done anything anywhere near at Cardiff without his help. He was just calming influence. He helped me overcome because you need somebody to talk to in football. And he was my go. But I had to laugh because I called him. I said, "You're just like my father, and I'm 71." He said, "I bloody hope I'm not."
He's back in his 50s, isn't he? So I mean, obviously, I just heard what you were saying there about obviously the chairman was the reason why you went to Boro. But it's a heck of a distance from where you live down there in Cornwall as well, though, isn't it? Christ, what was it, 400 miles or something?
let me tell you why. So I gets in the car. Within half an hour, I got in the car. Before I rang Steve back, he didn't ring me for about an hour and a half to see what she said. But I was already up to Bristol then.
Right.
But so we gets up there, 6.5 hours. He said it'll take you about 4.5. He said. I thought, you what? Anyhow,
A bit longer than that.
6.5 hours. So we do that, and then the media guy said to us, "Would you do they're thinking about doing a flight to Newquay from Teesside Airport?" I said, "You what? That's like dream that for me." So I went to meet the people at the airport, and within a matter of days, they were flying from Teesside to Newquay. 1 hour, 40 minutes to our house. It's 10 minutes to the airport. I could be home in 2 hours.
That's like most people's commutes, you know, people that work in London, isn't it?
It's just amazing. So I thought, bloody hell, it's fate there, definitely.
Yeah.
We're gonna. I think they're only gonna do up to November, but now they've done it for the rest of the year. So
Oh, fantastic! That's brilliant. So, is there many people take that flight, or are you one of the only people on it, or is it packed?
Quite a few, obviously, you know, with the holidays and things like that. I haven't done it now for 3 weeks. I did the last one about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not aware of what the situation is now.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
But it was a blessing in disguise, because then Sharon could fly up and things like that, and that helped, because it is too, like you say, it is too far that really to commute. Well, not to commute, but to live down there.
I mean, obviously you've had a very long, successful managerial career, and they say behind every great man is a great woman. And you mentioned Sharon, so she's obviously been a massive part of your success, really. So perhaps you could just tell me a little bit about Sharon and what she has to suffer, what she has to go through.
Well, she's definitely her own person, you know. I mean, she runs the roost, really, as we all know, don't we? Really, just a nice person, you know. I mean, I've really in football you have so many highs and lows.
Of course, yeah.
Sharon is the one that's sort of stable. She's the stable one with me and the kids and that. And it's been great to see the kids. Amy, for example, she's she's 22 and she just passed her university and agreed to go in early at the hospital with this COVID thing in February. She shouldn't have started till July. It's
Right.
just level-headed, you know. And William's taken an apprenticeship in a golf club. So it's nice to see them like that. But she never lets anything bother her. We've got 2 dogs, a Shih Tzu, Monty, and a Norfolk Terrier, Donald, and you know, they run the rules really. I must admit, if it was a choice between the dogs and me, the dogs would come out slightly on top, but I'd be a very close second.
I mean, when you're at home, I mean, obviously football's all absorbing, isn't it? Especially in management. Are you able to separate it from home life? I mean, when you get home, is it on your mind all the time, or are you able to switch off and switch on to family?
But, you know, for example, yesterday, Justin, we did 30 miles yesterday on the electric bikes, me and Sharon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we took sandwiches and coffee with us, and it wasn't a great day weather-wise, but it was dry. But we went down all the little roads that you're not supposed, you know, with nothing planned, and you know, we do things like that which we really enjoy. I know it's, you know, cheating a bit electric bikes, but at our age, at my age anyhow, you know, I don't want to get off to walk up every hill.
That's great for going up hills, isn't it? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's good exercise. So we do a lot of things like that, you know. And she comes when I go fishing. She'll come fishing with me, and you know, and it's not. You know.
Now, Neil, obviously the club were in a bit of a spot when you took over. I mean, what were you, just outside the relegation zone on goal difference, wasn't it? What was the biggest thing you felt you had to sort out when you came in, looking back at it? And ultimately, why do you think the team's been, you know, successful in their fight to beat relegation?
I think basically when I came in, it was just all about survival, Justin. It was just keep us up, really. And there were a few moments when I were on my own thinking, wow, this is going to be a lot more difficult than I thought. Mm. You know, it went down to the last game, even though mathematically would have had to be a massive turnaround. Mm. So it wasn't easy. That was a horrible feeling at times when you thought you'd turn the corner, and then we get beat again, and you think back to square one. But it was not, you know, when once I said to Steve that I'd do this season, it was nice to sort of bring players on board. You know, we've only signed about 4. We'd already signed Grant Hall at the end of the season before I'd committed myself, and then they signed 4 other. We've signed about 4 other players, and been about 11 to 12 leave. So we are a bit short on numbers, but yeah. It was organising it, and then as I said, you must have heard me. It was getting more out of what we've got. It wasn't bringing. We have got to bring new players in. It was seeing players that we probably cast aside, thinking they weren't good enough. Already, you know, coaching them and mentally giving them the support and the enjoyment. I want my players to enjoy coming in training and playing. And when you watch us, I think we are. I think they're all playing with a smile on their faces. It's like old-fashioned, I suppose. It's like me. The way I want them to be, I want them to enjoy it, and they are doing.
I mean, obviously you replaced Jonathan, who was in his first managerial job right at the start of his career, and obviously lost his job. You know, I suppose it's harsh business, isn't it, football management? What advice would you give to someone like that, like Jonathan, right at the start of his career, obviously taking over a club that he loves, and it hasn't worked out for him? But, you know, there'll be other jobs and other opportunities. So what would your advice be to him? Because he's obviously just starting out in his career, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, having come into the club from the outside, what I would have said to Jonathan is, I think he needs to get somebody experienced alongside him.
Yeah.
I think, and no disrespect to the staff that he had, but I don't think there was anybody that's seen it all and done it all. Because although when you're a young manager, you think you know it, you think you know what you do, you know, I mean, Jonathan played far higher than I ever played. You need somebody that's had the experience, not in playing, in management, not just dealing with the players, but upstairs in the boardroom and everywhere. And I think that was probably Jonathan's biggest miss. I'm sure he'll learn from that when he gets his next opportunity. I think he'll bring somebody experienced in with him.
Now, can I ask you? I mean, obviously, how many years is it now, Neil? Since you was it Burton? Was it or Gainsborough Trinity? Wasn't it? I can't remember now. Your first 41 years. What's the biggest thing that's changed in football management since you first started out?
Well, the biggest thing that's changed is dietitians, fitness guys, IT guys, or the videos. Wenger was the biggest manager that changed everything. Nobody had ever heard of him when he come in, and he changed everything. And we owe it all to him, I think. I don't think there would be anything like this without his input. But let me tell you now, Justin, 41 years on, to be successful in management is still the same thing. 90%, might be 95%, is still man management. Forget tactics. Forget this board and managers writing stuff down on the bench. I mean, that's what a load of bull that is. You know, unless they're doing the shopping list. It's getting the best out of what you've got.
Yeah.
That's the art of management. Whether you run a cafe or a garage or, you know, a newspaper shop, it's getting the best out of what you've got. And that doesn't change that. The league managers and the PFA, they do courses at Warwick University and everything, but they still can get all your diplomas and everything else, but you still got to manage men, you know.
What's interesting, I mean, Neil, obviously, you know, as you get older, you know, longer in your career, you're getting older, and the age difference between yourself and the players is getting bigger. And you've got to try and sort of still be channeled into that, haven't you? Because you've got to be channeled into 20-year-olds, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. And I have to say, that is the part that I enjoy now. Because I do give them stick on the training. I'm sure they gave me stick in the dressing room behind my back. But I do like the humour around, and you know, one or two of the lads, the gear they wear, wow, you know, I give it a slaughter them. You know, what's your mother wearing today? You know, I like that part, and you know, they rib each other, and when you get something going, I knew in the summer that something was happening here. When I took them down to Cornwall to my house, we had a barbecue, you know.
Oh, okay.
And in the past, every club I've been at, I've more or less gone down there. And we have knock a few balls at golf and have a swim and a barbecue and a fish. And usually everybody's gone by 2 o'clock. They go back to St. Melian and play golf and all that lot there and have a swim. But this lot, 5 o'clock at night, still here. All of them still here, staff as well. And Sharon said to me, "This is the best group of lads you've ever had down here."
Really? Wow.
I said, "Yeah, I've never seen a set of lads like this." So bloody hell, I better make sure I work with them then,
Make sure you will. Wow, that's incredible.
Daft. She's over the years when I brought players back to sign, and I'll introduce you, we'll have a chat, and she'll give me her opinion after the time. She said, "I wouldn't sign him in a million years." Oh, he'll do well for you, And women have got that intuition, I think, more than men. And I've always sort of listened to what she's had to say, and she's not been far wrong. But I did think there was something special. I don't think the players believed it when I said to them in the summer, "I think we've got a good chance this year." I wouldn't say where, but I think we could have a successful season if everything went in our way. And I think one or two. I remember Johnny Howson asking if I'd had a big drink when I said it. Happiness to be down there again, So it's listen. We've only done 10. Is it 10 games? 11 games? We haven't done anywhere near a quarter of the season, have we? But we set out to try and enjoy it, and that's what we're going to do.
Now, Neil, I've just got to tackle obviously COVID-19 as it seems to be everywhere at the moment, unfortunately. And obviously, you had it yourself. When you were going through, when you were at home there, self-isolating, was there ever a part of you that was really very worried about yourself in terms of, bloody hell, this thing might finish me off? Did you ever have any thoughts like that?
Absolutely, yeah. Not when I got it, because I never felt anything at first. I just got a tickly cough for 2 days, not a big cough. And so when the result come back, it was a bit of a shock, really, because I went home, and I love the news. That's my favourite program. I watch the news every day.
Yeah.
And the news is not very nice at the minute, and it was all about the deaths. But when you looked at that, what had happened in that first phase, and all the hospitalisation of all those patients on oxygen and things, then it did make you think, wow. And luckily, the doc, I think my chest was clear. I hadn't got anything on my chest, which for me was a blessing, because it seemed to be people with chest infections at my age that were getting the problems. But after 2 days, I just hit a brick wall, tiredness. I went to sleep. I fell asleep on the settee. I'd have 2 hours sleeping, and I wake up, make a cup of tea, put the tea down, and fall asleep before I drank the tea.
Christ.
I was absolutely shattered. Must be 15 to 20 hours a day I was sleeping for about 5 days. And then I lost my taste and my smell. Yeah. But my chest was still all right. And I thought, I'm not bothered what happens, as long as my chest's okay, because I do feel that is slippery slope time, isn't it, with your chest?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
So, what does upset me, Justin, is when I see the last day of lockdown, and I see people in Nottingham and people in Liverpool and young kids, universities up at Northumberland and wherever I am, and I see them all mixing without masks on and all that, with no thought whatsoever about how they could carry it and give it somebody my age or one of the relatives or some of the people. That's what really upsets me, if I'm honest. I can't believe how we've not taken responsibility in that, and it's taken, and now we've got a second wave, haven't we? We've got to adhere to what they say.
Now, obviously, they think they found the vaccine. I'm assuming you'd be up for it straight away as soon as it's available, and urge everyone else to be getting that queue and get it, because you get all these vaccine deniers, don't you?
Yeah. Well, on Saturday because we got 2 weeks break, we had our flu jabs after the game on Saturday. Yeah. Some of the lads didn't want the flu jab, and I just said to him, "Listen, lads, I understand what you're coming from, and it's going to be voluntary. But if you get flu and you get COVID, you'll know what's hit you. You know, because these lads are so fit that the slightest thing can knock them back.
Yes.
It's not as like because they're fit, they don't catch it. The slightest thing knocks them back. And I think most of them had it after the game. So that was a plus. And I think, you know, the COVID thing, you know, the sooner that comes in, the better, really. The NHS staff, how they have. I have a heart guy, Zahir, down in Cardiff, and he had to go on the front line. He had to forget about the heart. He went to the front line, and so they all had to change and help. And when I see people like that, it's unbelievable at what they're doing, isn't it? And my daughter, you know, in the radiotherapy department down at Truro, and it's just incredible, the stories. And they risk their lives, and some of them's lost their lives, haven't they? Because of the You know, it's a real. Well, it's never happened in my lifetime. You know, I think the only thing to compare it with in World War II, wouldn't it? Really,
World War II. Yeah, I don't think we've had a pandemic like this since 1918 or something ridiculous like that. So, you know, can I just ask you finally on that? When you know you got the all clear, was it almost like the euphoria of, I don't know, winning a playoff final or something, in terms of, you know, another achievement, really, beating this terrible virus?
It was. It wasn't like winning. I can't tell a lie. It wasn't like winning a playoff final.
No. No, you know what I mean? There was some sort of relief. There was a relief there, a sort of an energy release from you.
Well, the thing is, when you've got it, and like me, and you were watching television every day, everything was doom and gloom.
Yeah.
How many deaths today? How many in the last 24 hours? You know, with 50,000 now. But everything was all on figures, and to be fair, let's be honest, nobody in the government had a clue what they were doing, and not just Boris and that, but you know, everybody. It's all right after the event having a go at Boris for doing this, that, and the other, but nobody in the government knew what they were doing. We got different people from areas, these professors, all at loggerheads. You know, it's never happened before. So you can I think you could understand it, really. For me, it was just about surviving, really. Let's survive, and you know, and thankfully I did.
And my final question, obviously we were talking about fans earlier. You thrive on fans, as you were saying earlier. We just want to get back to normal times, don't we? We just want to get the fans back in the stadiums and just reset and get back to where we were a year ago.
I suppose they can't treat one sport different to another. You know, I mean, our training complex is on a golf course, near a golf course.
Right.
And for the life of me, I cannot see why two people play golf on a wonderful day like today and have the fresh air and not come into contact with anybody. Likewise, I can't see the 1,000 that we had against Bournemouth in a 30-odd thousand seater stadium. There was an atmosphere, Justin, honestly. Even with there was an atmosphere, and the relief it gives those fans mentally that they've been to see the team. You know, that's one of the biggest problems we all have now, the mental state of people that haven't been able to do anything that they enjoy. And that's why, you know, this award really is because it'll be a talking point up here, and the fans will love it. And that's why, you know, I think I'm going to do something with that award regarding the fans.
Are you going to do that next week, or when the yes, you're going to do that soon?
I'm going to see how we can. I don't understand all these, you know. A go to whatever it is where you can. I think, I don't know, a couple of quid a go or something.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
fans have, and we'll do that to one of the hospices, I think.
Yeah. No, I'll put it in the piece, definitely. Now, just a little bit of background info, just so I know. So, how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids. 4
boys and girls. What was?
I have 2 boys, 2 girls. I have Amy, who's 22, and William, who's 19.
Yeah.
And James and Natalie in the 30s. James, the oldest one, and Natalie from my first marriage, you know.
Okay. And in terms of your marriage now, how long have you been married with Sharon?
Oh my God. Well, you shouldn't ask me that. Well, you put this in the paper, she'll go bloody daft if I don't know. I think 24 years. I think
24 years. Yeah. So what I think you're coming up to your 25th. What's that? Is that silver? I can't remember. What's 25th? I don't know what 25th is actually. Your anniversary, 25th.
I've known her 30 years now.
Wow, that's a long, long time. Long time. Well, look, Neil, thank you very much for being so generous with your time. Really do appreciate it, mate. And glad you beat the lurgy and you're fighting fit. And
this is what I miss as well. I know it sounds silly, but I love my press conferences.
Yeah.
When they come up here, I try and make them laugh as well when we do with booms and that, because everything's bland in it at minute.
Yeah.
You guys have got a difficult job, haven't you, at minute?
It is difficult, yeah. It is difficult, especially not seeing people face to face as well. I mean, this is quite good that we can do Zoom, but it's not the same, is it? It's not the same as the physical contact. It really isn't.
I appreciate your time, Justin.
Yeah, all right, and good luck for the rest of the season. I mean,